Welcome to Viral Recaps. Today I'm going to explain an adventure fantasy movie called Slumberland from 2022. Spoilers incoming. Let's get right into it. The movie opens with a little girl named Nemo who's deep underwater in her dream. She wakes up as her dad honks the horn of his boat. Nemo then gets up and walks outside to greet her dad, Peter, and they go back inside to have breakfast together. After his wife died, he decided to become the lighthouse keeper and took his daughter with him. They've lived here for several years and Peter constantly tutors his daughter how to take care of the lighthouse once he's gone. After they finish breakfast, they go on with their normal daily activities until it's nighttime again. By nightfall, Nemo goes to bed and asks Peter to tell her a story. He tells her a story about a dream he's had over the years. He talks about Flip, his dream buddy, and the adventures they went on in Dreamworld. The story revolves around how he visited a whirlpool inside the sea which led into a scary part of Dreamland called the Sea of Nightmares. According to him, he found nothing but darkness and death there. As he traveled through this dark place, Peter says he was attacked by the nightmare monster, a huge shadow squid that Nemo imagined while hearing about it. Before he gets to finish his story, Peter is called to help save a fishing boat in danger. He tells Nemo to get to sleep and that he'll be back soon. She falls asleep and has the exact same dream about being sucked by a huge whirlpool in the ocean. Now underwater in her dream, she sees Peter coming out of a sunken fishing boat and swimming up towards her. However, he's pulled back down by the nightmare monster and drowns. Nemo then wakes up to the honk once again thinking it's her dad coming back home, but it turns out it's Carla, a lady from the Coast Guard. She tells Nemo that her father died and calls her uncle, Philip, to claim custody of her. After her dad's funeral, Nemo goes to live in the city with her uncle. On her first night there, Nemo finds out Philip's a doorknob salesman who lives alone and has no friends. Philip tries to connect with her, but since he has no experience raising kids, everything feels awkward. Eventually, he shows Nemo her room and leaves her there to rest, as tomorrow's her first day ever at school. She dreams again that night about her toy piggy being alive. Then her bed develops legs and sails across the ocean to the lighthouse. Upon arriving, Nemo finds a ruffian named Flip rummaging through her father's things. This is the same person he's been telling her stories about. Both of them are scared at first, but after a short conversation, they get to know each other. Flip is a wanted outlaw in Dreamworld as he's causing a lot of trouble by messing around with people's dreams. He gives his condolences and then asks Nemo about a map of the Dreamworld her father had. She replies that she has no knowledge of such a map, but Flip doesn't trust her. She tells him she doesn't want him to be here and all she wants is to see her dad. Flip then tells her the only way to see her dad again is through the map. By using it, they can find the Sea of Nightmares and take magic pearls from there, which have the power to make every wish come true. As she still insists she doesn't know anything about the map, Flip tells her she's of no use to him and pushes her out the window to make her wake up. When she does so, Nemo asks her uncle if he had a dream as well, but Philip says he hasn't had a dream in years. They both dress and leave for Nemo's school. When they get there, Philip leaves her in the hands of Mrs. Arya, a teacher at the school. Mrs. Arya introduces her to her classmates. Jamal, one of the class nerds, shows her around. After school, Philip teaches his niece how to pick a lock. The girl seems uninterested, so she goes to her room to sleep. In her dream, Pig finds the map of Dreamworld in one of the boxes near her bed. Nemo then wakes up and takes it. On the back of it, there are instructions on what items she needs to take that'll help throughout the journey. The next day at the school's entrance, Nemo borrows Philip's phone and marks herself absent for 2 weeks on the school app without his knowledge. She then walks down to the boiler room, sets up a hammock bed, and goes to sleep. Back into the Dreamworld, she finds Flip trashing the lighthouse just like the last time. She tells him he can stop searching now and shows him the map. They find the Sea of Nightmares located in the middle of the map. Flip tries to leave her behind by telling her it's very dangerous because if she dies in someone else's dream, she'll die in the real world as well. Nevertheless, she convinces him to take her. She wants to take a pearl so she can wish to see her father again. They set on their journey by using the first exit door from Nemo's dream to someone else's. While they're transitioning, Flip tells Nemo about one more danger they have to be cautious about. It's called BOZA, or the Bureau of Subconscious Activities. They want to captivate everyone who's wandering in foreign dreams. In this dream, they're in a castle. Upon entering the hall, they see humans made out of butterflies singing and dancing. Meanwhile, Agent Green, an officer from Boza, joins the party to detain Flip. At this very moment, a nightmare monster appears. The duo gets lucky and manages to escape into another dream. Then suddenly, Nemo wakes up. She sees Jamal taking care of his mini mushroom plantation. They chat for a bit and she leaves to go home. While having dinner, Philip tries advising her that she has to move on from her father's death, but this upsets her and she goes to sleep. Back into Dreamworld, Nemo reunites with Flip, who's still waiting for her in the same place to continue their journey. On their way, Flip tells her he can never wake up because he doesn't remember who he is in the real world. These are the consequences of staying here for too long. While they're looking around for the next door, they discover it is in a garbage truck. They manage to get in just in time, as Agent Green is on their heels again. The driver is a little boy named Emmett, who turns out to be an amazing driver, as he's not giving up in the agent's hands easily. Unfortunately, because of Green's persistence, they end up falling into the ocean. Emmett wakes up unharmed as he's in his own dream, but with the truck filling up with water, Flip and Nemo have to act quickly or else they'll drown. To make things worse, a nightmare appears as he smelled their fear. The duo figures out the door is in the glove compartment and they barely manage to escape. As they celebrate, Agent Green finds them once again and finally detains them by using her freezing gun. While they're behind bars, Flip tells Nemo he wants to use the power of the pearls to wish himself to wake up and continue living his life in the waking world. Just then, Green comes and takes the girl out of the cell. She instructs her not to ever wander in other people's dreams again, or else she'll end up like Flip. Then she sends her back to the real world. After waking up, Nemo sits down and talks with her uncle for the first time since she started living with him. He gets excited and plays an old clip of himself and Nemo's father when they were younger. As they watch the clips, Philip tells her how he and her dad used to be inseparable. They even used to share the same dream together every night. Philip was Flip in his dreams. He said they had lots of fun together until Peter got married and had Nemo. Philip says he tried his best to get Peter to stay with him, but it wouldn't work as he had a family now. They slowly drifted apart and estranged from each other. Ever since then, he stopped having dreams. Apparently, he decided to stay in one of his dreams forever, and that caused him to separate into two different parts, one being the soulless Philip and the other being the fascinating Flip. Nemo sobs softly and tells him her dad never forgot about him and told her stories every night. In the next morning, she borrows some lockpicks and goes back to sleeping in the boiler room. Back into the dream world, she has to pass through all dreams once again to reach the Boza headquarters. When she finally gets there, she uses the lockpicks to unlock Flip's cell. They almost manage to flee unnoticed, but they meet Green coming up the elevator and she almost freezes them. However, Nemo manages to snatch the gun and freezes her instead. They have a little fun with her and then try to get directly to the Sea of Nightmares by using the elevator. However, Green regains mobility and stops the elevator. Flip and Nemo have no intentions to go back to the cell, so they open the doors and enter yet another dream, but Agent Green is already there as well. Flip and Nemo get lucky as they find the owner of the dream flying on a giant goose. They quickly jump down the cliff and land on a goose's back, escaping from the agent's hands once again. A few moments later, the duo lands somewhere in the woods. They walk a bit further and finally find the door leading to the Sea of Nightmares. Just as they enter, Nemo tells Flip about his real identity in the waking world. Upon hearing he's a boring doorknob salesman, Flip gives up on his dream of waking up completely and leaves her there alone. Fortunately, that doesn't last for too long as she wakes up to Mrs. Arya. She goes through some trouble for lying and her uncle takes her back home. When they arrive, they argue for a while and she gets back to her room. Instead of falling asleep, Nemo decides to sneak out and go back to the lighthouse in the real world. She dresses up and walks down to the port where Philip tied up her father's childhood boat. Although it rains heavily, that doesn't stop her. Unfortunately, she hits her head badly and faints. By this time, Philip has already woken up and sails towards the lighthouse as well. As she fainted, Nemo ends up in Dreamworld once again. She finds the Sea of Nightmares and uses Pig to grab a pearl. Unknown to her, the nightmare is right behind her waiting to strike. Just before it engulfs her, Flip flies right through it with a plane. He then turns around to take Nemo and flies out of there. The nightmare follows them all the way back to the lighthouse. Nemo drops the pearl just in front of the lighthouse's door and Flip rushes back to take it for her. Unfortunately for him, he's caught by the nightmare. Just before he's sucked into the darkness, Flip throws Nemo the pearl and tells her to get back to the lighthouse, as the nightmare can't harm her there. Before fleeing, she wishes that Flip wakes up. Almost immediately, he disappears and reappears in Philip. He suddenly now feels like a different man, much stronger and braver. He sees Nemo's boat and notices she's a few moments away from falling into the water. Then, with no hesitation, he jumps into the ocean and goes to save her. Back into her dream, she meets with Agent Green in front of the lighthouse. She commends Nemo on her bravery and decides to grant her with one more pearl. Once she leaves, Nemo stares at the pearl and wishes to see her dad again. In the meantime, Philip and the rest of the Coast Guards try to resuscitate her as she nearly drowned. Peter encourages his daughter to get back to the real world and move on. She takes a final goodbye and comes back to life in the waking world. She finds out that Flip merged back to Philip and he feels like his previous self now. A few days later, Nemo catches her uncle flirting with Mrs. Arya. She likes to finally see him happy and energetic. In the final moments of the movie, we see them going to sleep at the same time, so they can continue having adventures in the Dreamworld. Hey, if you enjoyed this recap, please consider subscribing and leaving a like as it helps the channel a lot. Thanks for watching and take care.